Good morning, everyone. It is so nice to sit together again in this zendo after 1.5 years. It was very quiet and I enjoyed the quiet life, but still we human beings need to be together with other beings. As you see, this zendo looks different. During the pandemic, Hoshin and other people worked hard to make progress. So I really appreciate, people's effort to develop this zendo and also to continue the practice through Zoom, so Sangha can be together, even though we cannot meet in person. But it's still, the pandemic is not completely over, so we must be careful. But we'd like to, sit and study together whenever possible. Well, this morning I'd like to talk on the 2 paragraphs from this book, Opening the Hand of Thought. No one has this book, but if you want to check this part, it's page 137. This is the very end of the chapter 7 of this book. So let me read these 2 paragraphs. A present-day person aspiring to find a true way of life will meet all the problems of modern society. Human progress is by no means the same as the advancement of natural science, nor does it follow the path of the development of material civilization. Human progress lies in each and every human being's becoming an adult. Becoming an adult is nothing other than each one of us becoming a bodhisattva, where we see every encounter as our child and discover our joy and ardor, A-R-D-O-R, ardor, in life through looking after each of our children. When this becomes a world of bodhisattva adults, in which we watch over one another and care for and help each other, then humanity will have come of age, and we may rightly say we have progressed. I propose that a bodhisattva protected and guided by Zazen and living by vow and repentance must be the true ideal image of a human being for the coming age. Chapter 6 and 7 in this book is a translation of his writing. About the title of that writing was Modern Civilization and Zen. And Okumura Roshi wrote this writing in 1967. This year I was a high school student, so I didn't read this writing when it was written, but I wrote this right after I graduated from high school and enter university to study Buddhism. Tokyo Olympic was over, I think, a few days ago. But the previous Tokyo Olympic was, I think, 64. I was a high school student. This is the time, in Japan, economic growth was very rapid, and the Japanese society has changed. And around this time, because of the Olympic, many people came from outside. So-called Shinkansen, the bullet train was completed, and the highway between Tokyo and Osaka was also constructed. So that was a time Japan had changed almost completely, and in the process, Japanese people became materially rich. I mean, because of the losing the World War II, Japan was almost, especially in the cities, almost destroyed, and people were starving. But this is about 20 years after that, Japanese society became restored the prosperity again and become getting rich. So people were really work hard to restore economic prosperity, and people thought they are successful. But when at the time I was living in a small town between Kyoto and Osaka, where those Shinkansen and a highway was constructed. And what I saw as a kid was, even though people were excited, this change, and they call it progress, growth. But when from my view as a kid, it's a process of destroying the nature. Until I was, I think, about 10 years old, I could swim in the river in the town. But when I became around 10, I became a teenager, swimming in that river was prohibited because, they built factories by the river. So it was a lot of, pollutions. Not only the water, but air was polluted. So I had a question about this change was really progress. Progress means getting better. But to me, it's not really getting better. We lost so many things, beautiful and peaceful environment. And we, as a high school student, we are expected to study hard, to go to a prestigious college or university to get a good job. And if we have a good education and good job, then we can make money and our life become rich. But I thought, at that time, as a view of a high school student, I thought, the school was a factory to produce the part of this, huge money-making machine, so-called Japan or Japanese society. And if we work hard, then we became a good part of that machine. But sooner or later, when we become old, we are thrown away, and new people are taking over the position. So I didn't think that a good way of life. That was my question as a teenager, and I didn't want to go, that direction. That's why when I read Uchiyama Roshi's book, around the same time I read his book, and I became interested in Buddhism, and then I go to university to study Buddhism. So to me, the difference between when I was a teenager and now, it's about 50 years. The scientific knowledge and technology and the economy are really, grow so much. Now we know many things we didn't know, and we can do so many things we couldn't even imagine. Still, I think we have the same problem. I remember, I moved to Minneapolis from Japan in 1993. And when I was there, I sometimes visited Iowa City Zen Center. And their zendo is second floor of the tiny school, tiny private school. And because the session is on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, there's no children. So Zen Center allowed me to rest in their classroom. So when I stayed there, I found a file of old newspaper. I'm not sure it was really original old newspaper or the copy of that old newspaper. But when I took the newspapers, I found an article that says Thomas Edison was in deathbed. I think that was 1931. That was the year 1993, so about 60 years before I read that newspaper. And I was surprised, after Thomas Edison was like one of the first ancestors of electronics. But if he see what happening in the things in 1993, I thought he was surprised, and he thought he was ignorant. So many things happened after his death until 1993, and even from that 93, already almost 30 years has passed. So now, since Thomas Edison died, almost exactly 90 years passed. But after Thomas Edison died, so many development in science and technology. So on that day, when I give a Dharma talk, I said, if Thomas Edison came to this country, country in 93, he must be surprised, and he felt he was ignorant. And at the time I said, when Shakyamuni Buddha appeared in the same time, I think he was surprised, because human beings didn't change at all. So the technology and science has been developing so quickly. But human beings hasn't changed from the time Shakyamuni Buddha. That was about 2,500 years. And human problems, the condition of human beings, Shakyamuni Buddha mentioned or pointed out, is said one of Pali Nikaya. There are many, but this is one of the examples. What is a human problem according to Shakyamuni? This is a short sutta from Pali Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya. And the title of this sutta is Honey Ball. One person asked Buddha, what does the recluse assert? Recluse referred to Shakyamuni. What does the recluse assert? What does he proclaim? What is your teaching? Then Shakyamuni said, friend, I assert and proclaim such a teaching that one does not quarrel with anyone in the world. So his teaching is to allow people become like a person who does not quarrel. Quarrel means fighting or argue with anyone in the world. And he continues, such a teaching that perceptions no more underlie, that Brahman who abide detached from sensual pleasures without perplexity, shorn of worry, free from craving for any kind of being. And this is quite long, so I cannot talk entire teaching in this sutta. But he said the basic cause of why we quarrel with other people, quarrel or argue or fight or conflict with others, is things happening in us, in our mind, and also we take action based on the negative things within our mind to interact with others. So we need to first work with what is happening within ourselves and how we can avoid to interact with other people in a negative or unhealthy way. And things, the negative things happening internal, inside ourselves, is according to Buddha as follows. Underlying tendency to lust, I cannot pronounce lust, that is desire. Lust of the underlying tendency to aversion. Aversion of the underlying tendency to views this is self-centered, ego-centered views, and underlying tendency to doubt, of the underlying tendency to conceit, conceit, of the underlying tendency to desire for being. Desire for being is a desire to become something, or to be born next life in the like heavenly realms or human realms, and of the underlying tendency to ignorance. So these are negative part of our mentality, our mind. And because of these negative aspect or element, we have resorting to rods and weapons, resorting to rods and R-O-D, rods and weapons. That means violence. Of quarrels, brawls, B-R-A-W-L, brawls, and dispute, recrimination, make sense? Recrimination and malice, M-A-L-I-S-C-E, malice and false speech. So because of these negative things within us, we interact with other people in a negative way. That is how we start to quarrel with others. So what Buddha taught is how we can become free from these negative, unhealthy part of our mind, our mentality, and avoid non-healthy interaction with others. Then he said, Shakyamuni said, we can live without quarreling or fighting or anything negative against others. So I think that is what Buddha taught, how we can become such a person. And when we see ourselves and people in this world today, this was taught 2,500 years ago. And I think the same thing is still happening. And I think also because of the development of science and technology, produce much better weapons. When Shakyamuni Buddha's time, their weapon was pretty, simple. But now we have many weapons, and it's very, effective. We don't need to discipline to, shoot a gun. Even a kid can do it. If they had to fight using a sword, they need to train. But because of that, technological development, we can, kill others so easily. So, even the technology to do something negative became very much developed. And yet our mind and our way to interact with others are not developed. So it is like, in the Lotus Sutra it said, we are like children playing, enjoying playing in the burning house of samsara. And Buddha asked them to get out, but they didn't want to get out of the burning house because they enjoy their play. I think we are still, we human beings in this modern times are still playing within the burning house. And we have a power to even destroy this entire burning house, like nuclear weapons. And we don't know who may use that weapons. So our civilization is, in a sense, developed, but if we don't make effort to develop our inner quality, then it becomes more and more dangerous. It's good to have more and more scientific knowledge and technology, like to, many doctors and other people working hard to fight against, COVID. Because of the scientific knowledge and technology, we can protect as much as possible, protect human beings. So it was a good side also. But still, we have very terribly unhealthy nature. So we need to understand, human, scientific or technological development, technological and also economical development does not necessarily become human beings better. So same as Shakyamuni Buddha's time, we have to make effort to develop ourselves. I think that is what Okumura Roshi said in 1967, when Japanese people are very exciting to work hard, making money and develop, economy. But he said that doesn't make this world a better place for human beings. And I think more than 50 years later today, I think the condition doesn't change so much. So that is what he is saying here in the conclusion of his kind of understanding of the problem of modern civilization and how we can develop our nature of our service or humanity. How to do so, I think Buddhism has something to offer even today. So I think it's really important to study what Buddha teach and how we can develop our quality. If we are become, that is a word which Okumura Roshi use, adult. Adult means matured person. Well, let me read paragraphs, sentence by sentence. He said, a present-day person aspiring to find a true way of life. So this person aspiring to find a true way of life means bodhisattvas, people who allows bodhicitta, is awakening mind, and try to find a best way or right way or healthy way to live. True way of life will meet all the problems of modern society. Bodhisattva is not need to stay in this society. We are not escape from the society, but somehow we have to find our place to work and study and also practice. So we need to face the problems modern society give us. Human progress is by no means the same as the advancement of natural science, nor does it follow the path of the development of material civilization. No matter how technologically or economically or scientifically that developed, if our quality of our mentality is same as 2,500 years ago, that development is just make the technique of killing more efficient and easier. So he said, human progress lies in each and every human being becoming an adult. So he said, we need to become an adult. That means, he said, if as far as we are living, as Shakyamuni mentioned, we are childish. We only thought of ourselves. We are still very ego-centered. The original Japanese word for an adult is dai nin or otona. Dai literally means big, and nin means human beings. And I think, and dai and nin is the way Japanese read Chinese characters. So original Japanese means otona. That means matured person. And when Uchiyama Roshi used this word, dai nin, he has the idea or another Buddhist term called daishi. Daishi is Buddhist term, meaning the same. Big or great, shi is human or people. And this is a Chinese translation of Indian Sanskrit word Mahasattva. Bodhisattva and Mahasattva is the same, two different names for one person who is called Bodhisattva. Bodhisattvas are Mahasattva. Sattva means sentient beings. So when he used this, Uchiyama Roshi used this Japanese word adult or otona, he means Mahasattva. That is Bodhisattva. So how can we become a Bodhisattva? Bodhisattva is a person who allows bodhicitta, awakening mind, or that is a kind of aspiration to seek the way, to find a true way of life. And he continued, becoming an adult, becoming Mahasattva is nothing other than each one of us become a Bodhisattva. Means we arouse bodhicitta and take a Bodhisattva vow. becoming a bodhisattva, where we see every encounter as our child and discover our joy and ardor, A-R-D-O-R, ardor, in life through looking after each our children. This is what he said about when he talks about Sanshin. Sanshin is 3 minds, and Sanshin is the name of this temple. That is Dai Shin, Ro Shin, and Kishin. Ro Shin and Kishin. Okumura Roshi discussed about these 3 minds in this chapter. So this is a conclusion of his discussion about these 3 minds. Daishin, or big mind, or magnanimous mind, is mind beyond separation, beyond discrimination. Mind which sees we are, as I always draw, we are living as a part of this Indra's net, and we are connected with all beings. That means we are supported by all beings. We try to support others too. That is magnanimous mind, or Daishin, means we see that we are living together with all beings, not only human beings, all beings as a part of network of interdependent origination. So Daishin is actually our Zazen mind. When we sit and letting go of thought, we become from selfishness, self-centered views. And Ro Shin, Ro means, literally means old or aged, but this also means matured. And when Dogen Zenji discussed about Roshin, or matured mind, he said this is the mind of parents. So as a part of this interconnectedness, when we see, all, not only people but things, as our children. That is like a parent take care of the children. So childish mind is self-centered. When we are children, we always expect that people take care of me. And if people don't take care of me, then we scream, we complain. But when we become matured, we can take care of others. Especially when we become parent, we really take care of our children as a part of our life. And as a bodhisattva, not only our children, but all beings we encounter is our children as a bodhisattva. And Kishin is within taking care of others, like taking care of children. We have Ki means joyful mind. So we have a joyful mind within taking care of others, like parents have a joy when they saw children are growing. So those 3 minds is what Bodhisattva need, according to Dogen. This is a part of Dogen's teaching in Tenzo Kyokun. So what Okumura Roshi is talking is, in order to become real adult, we have to develop those 3 minds. Practice Zazen is a way we find a great magnanimous mind. And when we see interconnectedness, we can have a nurturing mind. And by actually working for others to offer something, we can have a joy, much better joy than self-centered joy. When we fight against others and we win, we have, of course, we have joy. But this kind of joy is based on competition and other people's failure. But if when we live in this attitude, then there's no other people who need to fail to make us a winner. So it's kind of a win-win relation. So that is the teaching of three mind or sanshin, and that is why I named this temple and this community as Sanshin Zen community. People in this community practice Zazen and develop nurturing mind and having a joyful mind. And when he continued, when this become a world of bodhisattva, when, I don't know how long does it take to all human beings become bodhisattvas. Still, Buddhism is a tiny part of this world. But it's also amazing, Shakyamuni's teaching continued even today. So Buddhism is one of the oldest religions in the world. But it's still, continues, still available, and we can study and practice. But what we need to do is to enlarge the circle of people, so we don't need to convert other people into a Buddhist, so-called Buddhist, as a religious institution, but to encourage people to live with this kind of a matured attitude is really important for entire human society today. That is what he is saying here. So when this world become a world of bodhisattva adults, in which we watch over one another and care for and help each other, then humanity will have come of age, become really matured, adult, and we may rightly say we have progressed. So only the development of technology doesn't make human beings better. I propose that a bodhisattva protected and guided by Zazen to develop daishin, and living by vow, that is roshin, to take care of others, and repentance, even though we vow to live in this way, always we are incomplete. We cannot be perfect. So we practice and work as much as we can within that direction. Still, often we find we have some incompleteness. We make a repentance. And must be the true ideal image, this bodhisattva or true adult is the true ideal image of human beings for the coming age. So this is what Okumura Roshi wrote 1967. And I really thought, this is how I wanted to live, following his direction. So, last 50 years, I have living, trying to introduce this teaching and practice to the Western people. That is why I continue to practice Zazen and working on translation and try to develop a community based on those three minds. Well, this is the end of this chapter 7 of this book. There is one more chapter. The final chapter 8 is the way seeker. This is different from rest of this book. This chapter 8 is a translation of Uchiyama Roshi's last lecture at Antaiji before he retired. He retired from Antaiji in 1975. He was 63 years old. He was pretty young, but he had to retire because he had physical problem. He lived with TB almost entire his adult life. So he couldn't continue to practice Zazen with young people, so he retired in 75. So even since that, almost 50 years have passed. So I'm really grateful that I could continue this study and practice together with American people until I became now 73. So my wish is to transmit this teaching and practice to the next generation. So, in order to enlarge this circle of Bodhisattva, we really need many different types of Bodhisattva. What I have been doing is concentration on sitting practice and studying and working on translation and developing small sangha. But in order to make such a change, we really need many bodhisattvas who can work in many different areas. So I really wish this teaching and practice can be transmitted to the next younger generation. Well, this is what I have to say this morning. Any comment or question? Please.
In your discussion of the honey balls, you touched on the question of views being a possible factor in leading to quarreling.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem that we're seeing very much at our national level right now. I wonder if you could say a little bit more about holding views versus quarreling. I mean, it's obviously quarreling doesn't necessarily happen, but it's a very difficult problem today.
Yes, actually, that is the most important, essential point of this sutta. I didn't have enough time to talk about the main part, how we can develop that attitude or quality of our life. We can live without quarreling. And the main essential point of this sutta, teaching in this sutta, is a kind of dependent origination. Dependent origination is really important teaching of Shakyamuni. And one model of teaching of dependent origination is when our six sense organs, like eye, ears, nose, tongue, and body, and the object of six sense organs, like a color or form, and sound, smell, taste, and what? Touch, and object of mind. When these encounter, we have consciousness, and one type of dependent origination teach after consciousness, we have sensation and perception, and also perception and feeling or sensation. This is sensation. Perception. Soku. I need to think in Japanese. Soku. Ju. Next one is I. Depending upon what kind of sensation, whether it's pleasurable or unpleasurable, we have tanha, craving, clinging, or try to escape from that. And from I, shu is upadana, that is clinging. Then we take action. That is one type of dependent origination. This is more like a emotional side. But in this sutta titled Honey Bowl, it says after Ju says soul, perception. And depending upon perception, we think. And when we think, we are influenced by so-called, I don't like this English, conceptual proliferation, proliferation. I don't like this English, but in Japanese, it's much easier to me. Keron. Keron means meaningless discussion. Meaningless discussion. That means thinking. So this is another cause of dependent origination. This is a kind of an emotional side, and this is more like an intellectual side. We have perception, and we think. In the process of thinking, we create various conceptions. Conception means, this is a real thing, but when I call this black marker, this black marker is a conception. And when we say black marker, that already automatically means this is not a red marker, or this is not a glass of water. So it's already separation. To separate this thing from other things. And if this is still usable, but when the ink is dried up, then this is not a black marker anymore. This becomes garbage. So depending upon the relation between this person and this thing, we make a concept whether this is useful for me, for what is this useful or not useful. Depending upon this is useful for me or not, I change the name. This is a black marker when I can use to write. But when this is not usable, I call this a junk or garbage. So the concept of black marker doesn't change. But this real thing is changed. It becomes a black marker to a garbage. So, concept is how can I say, permanent. it doesn't change. And when we grasp one concept, it's really difficult to become free from it. Well, I can be free from black marker, but it's more like human, human relations. When I once think this person is reliable or not reliable, it's really difficult to change the view of to trust this person or not. Once it is fixed, or when we meet a person from very different background, spiritual or racial background, something different from my way of life, then it's kind of difficult to become free from human beings should behave in this way or that way, and those people doesn't follow my standard, then it's really difficult to become that kind of view. So view is without view become that came up from sense organ and object. That is how our brain works. So we cannot stop doing this. But it's also important to become free from what's happening. And once it's fixed, we cannot really become free from that. So, and when the picture of the world is fixed, then we pursue some kind of order, peacefulness. And when some people didn't follow my system of value or my way of doing things, then we think they are the problem. So when we eliminate those people, this become better. This world become better world. It's really easy to think in that way. It's easy to think, but it's not possible to actualize. Therefore, we are not, free. We are not flexible with our personal view based on this structure. Then it's really difficult to become friendly with other people from different background. So I think that is a problem we have now, not only in this world, this country, but everywhere in this world. This kind of a separation, and my view and their view are different, and my view is right and only right view, and others are always wrong. So good thing is to fight against them. That is really a problem I think we are facing. So that is what Buddha taught, when he said, we fix our view, then we cannot become free from that.
So it sounds like the idea is that it's okay for us to hold views, that we can hold them lightly, not be too fixed in our view.
Yeah, also we need to understand, as I always draw, Indra's net, when we cannot see the world from outside, but we have to see the world from inside, and the limit of what we can see is tiny. So when people or person from other part of this network can see the world completely different. So I think it's important to understand we create our view by seeing a very limited view. So we are like frog in the well. This is a famous analogy in the Asia. That means frog in the well can see only tiny part of the sky, but the frog think this is the entire sky, and so I see the entire sky, but it's really limited. So our view is like I think in English this is called a tunnel view, very limited, and yet we think this is true. That is a problem, I think. Thank you. Okay. Any other question or comment?
Anyone up on the screen?
Maybe not.
Any questions from you Zoom folks? Yes, not.
Okay, thank you very much.